Thank you for purchasing a JUKI overlock sewing machine. We hope this instruction DVD will help you to enjoy your sewing experience with JUKI even more. To ensure your safety, turn off the power switch and unplug the power cord from its electrical outlet in the following situations. While sewing, keep an eye on the needle and keep your hands away from all moving parts. Prior to using your machine, you must first set it up. Raise the support rod fully. Turn the thread stand until it engages the positioning stopper with a click. Put the thread guide on the support rod. Insert the thread guide into the tip of the support rod so that the arrow in the thread guide comes in front of you. Attach the separately packed spool holder to the fixed spool holder. Place each of the spools on the spool holder. For spools of large inside diameter, position the anti-vibration cone upside down. When using house use spool, remove the anti-vibration cones. Place a spool on the spool holder with its notch downward and push the spool caps on. Plug the foot controller into the machine socket. Plug the foot controller into the power supply socket. Pressing 1 turns the power switch on, and sewing operation is performable. Pressing 2 turns on both the power switch and sewing light. Be sure to turn the power switch off before threading. Thread the machine carefully and in the correct sequence. This is important for making beautiful seams. The retractable support rod with thread guide must be fully raised. Open the looper cover. Be sure to turn the power switch off before opening the looper cover. Pull the looper cover opening handle to the right and tilt the looper cover toward you. Raise the upper knife. Be sure to turn the power switch off before raising the upper knife. Turn the hand wheel until the upper knife is fully raised. Press this part toward the right until it will go no further. Keep pressing and turn the knob on the right side in the direction of the arrow. Turn the knob until the knife reaches this position. The coloured threading illustrations affixed clearly show the threading sequence. Thread the machine in this sequence. Threading aids, such as tweezers which are provided as accessories, will be very useful in threading work. Place the spool on the spool holder pin right under the blue marking on the retractable support rod thread guide. Bring the thread up from the rear of the retractable support rod thread guide with the blue marking. Pass the thread through the thread guide plate. Bring the thread onto the thread guide. Thread the thread tension dial. To lay the thread correctly between the tension discs, pull the thread lightly with both hands. Thread the thread guides. Turn the hand wheel until the upper looper is fully raised. Thread the upper looper eye. Pull about 10 centimeters of the thread out. Raise the presser foot lifter. Place the thread under the presser foot and pull the thread from behind the presser foot. The lower looper thread is run just like the upper looper thread, but by following the red colour thread guides. Raise the needle fully and press the lever of the threading device down. Thread the guide and then the slit on the device. Holding the thread loosely with the left hand, turn the hand wheel until the upper and lower loopers just cross. The threading device will automatically return to the normal position. Thread the lower looper eye and place the thread under the presser foot. The right-hand needle thread is run just like the upper looper thread, but by following the green colour thread guides. Thread the thread guide. Lay the thread in the notch on the thread take-up lever. Thread the thread guide. Thread the thread guides on the needle bar. Turn the hand wheel toward you until the needles are fully raised. Thread the right-hand needle. Bring the thread through under the presser foot and pull about 10 centimeters of the thread out behind the presser foot. The left-hand needle thread is run just like the upper looper thread, but by following the yellow colour thread guides. Thread the thread guide. Lay the thread in the notch on the thread take-up lever. Thread the thread guides. Thread the left-hand needle. Pull about 10 centimeters of the thread out from the needle eye. When threading is completed, lower the upper knife and close the looper cover. After threading, make a trial sewing. Be sure to use a double layer of fabric in order to check whether the seam and thread tension are adequate. Set the lower upper looper, left-hand, right-hand needle thread tension dial to 4. Make sure that the upper knife is lowered. Push the overlocking width selection knob back so that it aligns with the rear red marking on the throat plate. Lower the presser foot and press down on the foot controller gently to make a thread chain. A thread chain is a stitch that can be formed with no fabric present. After ensuring that a thread chain can be made, place the fabric under the presser foot. Lower the presser foot and sew. Press the foot controller gently to sew slower and firmly to sew faster. At the end of the seam, continue sewing to form a 5 to 6 centimeter long thread chain. Holding the fabric with one hand, pull the thread chain over the thread cutter on the presser foot shank. In proper stitch formation, both looper threads meet at the fabric edge. Both the left needle thread and the right needle thread appear cleanly on the upper side. Adjust the thread tension dials, stitch length adjusting knob, lower knife adjusting knob, and differential feed adjusting knob to ensure a proper stitch. The standard of the thread tensioner dial is 3 to 5. If the upper looper thread meets on the underside of the fabric, tighten the upper looper thread tension or loosen the lower looper thread tension. If the lower looper thread meets on the upper side of the fabric, tighten the lower looper thread tension or loosen the upper looper thread tension. If the right-hand needle thread forms loops on the underside of the fabric, tighten the right needle thread tension. If the left-hand needle thread forms loops on the underside of the fabric, tighten the left needle thread tension. If the fabric puckers during sewing, then loosen the right and left needle thread tensions. If the edge of the sewing material curls or the remaining thread is too long for the edge of the material, adjust the lower knife adjusting knob. Turn the power switch off before adjusting the lower knife adjusting knob. Turn the lower knife adjusting knob by pressing this part. If the edge of the sewing material curls, set the lower knife adjusting knob to a smaller value on the scale. If the remaining thread is too long for the edge of the material, set the lower knife adjusting knob to a larger value on the scale. The stitch length adjusting knob to adjust the stitch length. To adjust the stitch length, turn the stitch length adjusting knob. The stitch length is adjustable within the range from 1 to 4. For normal overlocking stitches, set the stitch length adjusting knob at 2 to 3. Gathering and stretching of the fabric can be adjusted by adjusting the differential feed adjusting knob. For the fabric sewn with waves, turn the differential feed knob to a larger number. For the fabric sewn with puckerings, turn the differential feed knob to a smaller number. The overlocking width selection knob is for changing seams for overlocking or roll hemming. Turn the hand wheel until the needles are fully raised. For overlocking, push the overlocking width selection knob back so that it aligns with the rear red marking on the throat plate. For roll hemming, pull the overlocking width selection knob forward so that it aligns with the front red marking on the throat plate. Pressure of the presser foot has been factory adjusted properly. Therefore, you do not need to adjust it except when sewing a special material. To increase the pressure of the presser foot, turn the screw clockwise. This is for heavyweight materials such as denim, tweed or hard linen. To decrease the pressure of the presser foot, turn the screw counterclockwise. This is for lightweight materials such as georgette, lawn or tricot. Standard position is the place where the lower part of the control cap aligns with the upper face of the cover. To carry out sewing without cutting the materials, raise the upper knife. Be sure to turn the power switch off before raising the upper knife. Turn the hand wheel until the upper knife is fully raised. Open the looper cover. Press this part toward the right until it will go no further. Keep pressing and turn the knob